This is my favorite time. I'm gonna put you guys over here so you don't have to walk into stuff. You guys get to hear me and Kyle preach and talk all the time, and so I've got a couple of youth who want to just speak about what God did to them in camp, how He spoke to them, and so they get to tell you their story about Him, just like what the song just said. So I'm going to give you guys an order. We'll start with Sammy and Willow, then Kevin, and then Braden. So y'all just come up here, and here's the microphone. Here's your podium, and let the Lord speak to you, buddy. Let's go.
Hello, everyone. If you don't know me, I'm Sammy. Just saying. And I wanted to tell you my testimony. Okay, from a very young age, I was given to my grandparents. I really didn't have a really good relationship with my mother or my father. I would see them every once in a while, but they really didn't want to try in that relationship. And so I always felt abandoned. And my uncle, he passed away, and he was close to me, and I felt like I had nobody. And then it was just all my life. I felt like I had no worth. Like nobody really wanted to be around me because I'm me, and I'm just somebody that I don't think nobody would like. And at camp, God spoke to me. He told me that I am His and that I am forever His child, and He won't abandon me. Even if my earthly parents might abandon me, He won't abandon me because He's a God of grace and love. Because He loves me enough to die for my sins. So that's all.
I wrote it, but I probably won't read it. Okay. Well, God is good. So, when I went to camp, I had expectations, and I know Braden's going to talk about that. I'm not going to go in depth with that, but I was thinking that was going to be like last year, because we had a big group, and there was drama, and we took our mask off, and as soon as we got to Cottonwood, we put them back on. I was looking forward to it, but then I kind of not. But when I was at camp, I prayed hard, really hard for one thing, and that was to be a leader. I love being a leader, and I love when people follow me for the right reasons. But I never really heard God. Like God has never really just spoke to me. Like I never really heard His voice, and so I was doubting Him. I was like, why am I praying if I'm not going to hear Him? And He showed me that He talks to me through signs, and He shows me a different way. He doesn't actually have to talk to you. He shows you things. And how He showed me that is I was praying for my best friend, and I was like, there's no hope. I was like, she's not going to get saved, and I can't be her friend because she's going to lead me down. But then Monday night, that's how He showed me, like, she got saved, and that's one way He showed me. And I was like, okay, God, I hear you. And then God went over and beyond, and He showed me more than I thought He could ever. And that was, there is a kid there, and his name is Isaiah. And I never talked to him. And one day it was me, Lainey, Brantley, Liv, and Isaiah, and we just went tubing. And I kind of reached out to him and everything. And he's in juvie, right? He's in juvie, and he wouldn't open up to Dad or nobody or his cabin leader or nothing. And he opened up to me, and like God used me. He used me to get to him, and then that Friday he got saved and baptized. And that's just, it touched my heart because I always thought my whole life, I was like, God's never going to talk to me. I prayed and prayed. I was like, God, I just want to hear your voice. I just want to hear your voice. But it showed me that He doesn't have to talk to you. He doesn't have to talk to you for Him to show you what He wants you to do. He can show you through signs, through people, through anything. And that was pretty much what I prayed for, and He gave me my answer through other people.
So camp was pretty good overall. We had the amazing race on Thursday. I gave this guy $20 and we won. I did come back broke though. That was good. And we got third place overall, so even better. But camp didn't start that way. When I got there Monday, we got off the bus. It was about 900 degrees, easy. And but before that, I was excited to come to camp towards the end of last year. Well, then the worst thing in my life happened, and my granddad passed away. He was my everything. Well, I had so much hate build up. You know, my grades dropped, disrespecting people, and it was just awful. And I did not want to go to camp. That Saturday and Sunday when I was packing, I did not want to go at all. I was trying to get my money back, become sick. I did not want to go at all. So Monday I got there. I got in my cabin. Me and Big Monty, we kind of hung out a little bit. Well, I didn't really know Mr. Danny, but I know you're watching live. You're the greatest. So we got to talking and really still didn't feel like camp. It wasn't my expectations. I really didn't have any expectations because I didn't want to go in the first place. So Monday was okay. Got lunch. It was awful. Got supper. It was awful. Got breakfast the next morning. It was even worse. So was the rest of the week. But anyway, Monday night we got in the service, and I was sitting there listening to this Kentucky hillbilly preacher that was my kind of preacher. He came right out and said, "Hell's real, you better get ready." And that was pretty much his message. That's my kind of preacher. But that night when he got done preaching and I left that hatred and depression and I left it at the altar, camp got really good. And when the end, actually that night I went and spoke afterwards to the youth, and I'm looking at all these people I go to school with, you know, varsity cheerleaders, basketball players, the kicker. And I pretty much told them, I said, if we don't take this back to school, a lot of our friends is going to bust hell wide open. And that was tough to tell them because they're all looking at me like, what in the world is this dude doing? But yeah, so we went, continued, and saw people get saved, and I witnessed to some people. But overall, camp was a great experience, and I can't wait till next year.
Hello. Okay. All right. So we went to camp, and before Kevin slipped that guy a 20, I ate a sandwich out of the river, and got 3,000 points. But that's a story for another time. And the first day, or the first whole day, Gage Dykes told me, "Hey, you're doing the devotional tomorrow morning, so you better be ready." And that night, that whole day before Monday, I was thinking, oh man, what am I going to do? I don't have anything prepared, whatever. And like Corey said, in case you haven't heard the word expectations enough already, that's what I'm going to be talking about. The first day of camp, I had expectations. This is my 5th year going. I was like, man, this 5th year is going to be the best thing ever. I was thinking, oh, it's got to be this way, got to be this way. But I wasn't ready for what God wanted me to see, wanted me to hear. And so we got there, and I was thinking, this doesn't feel like camp. I didn't like it. It felt different. It wasn't Camp Anderson. And so I went the whole day, and I was thinking, what am I going to do? Is the whole week going to be like this? Am I going to hate it? And so later that night, during the message, Pastor Chad, he preached the message, and he just punched me in the mouth. I was boo-hooing like a baby. I'm talking ugly crying all over the seats. It was rough. And so I got to thinking that night before we went to sleep, and I was like, you know what? I can talk about that. Talk about some expectations. And then the whole point, like expectations kind of lead to doubt, like doubt God. That's what I was doing. When I had expectations of how camp was supposed to be, I was doubting God and what he meant camp for me to be. And in Luke 24:38 says, "And he said to them, 'Why are you troubled, and why do doubts arise in your hearts?'" So basically, what that means is, why are you doubting me? Why are you letting doubt come in your heart when you know you should trust me, and you know I'm there for you, and you know in the end everything's going to be okay? So why should I have an expectation of what camp's going to be when I know in the end everything's going to be okay if I just trust him? That's it.